Alright. 3, 2, 1. Hello, my name is Sandy, and filling in for Coach D, I have the man, Robert Mann, and welcome to episode 2 of the Ankeny Recast, and welcome to AR3. This week we're going to be going over a lot as we skipped an episode last week, so everybody buckle in. We got a lot to go over. Most importantly is stuff from last time, and especially some new developments that we have just in the last recent days for AR3. So, Robbie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself before we get started?
Hi, I'm Robbie. Uh, yeah, that's about it. I'm not that special. I'm also known as Cancer Boy. Friends. I don't have cancer though.
A new nickname, possibly.
Okay, yep.
All right, so let's just go ahead and get started talking about the stuff from last week, the scores and overall what happened. So, if everybody remembers correctly, Team White versus Team Black, aka the Atlanta Clan versus the Little Rock Nine. Very, very good matchup. It was a hard-fought battle for both teams. The score was close throughout the whole game, and in the end, it was Team White, Atlanta Clan able to come away with a win. So just to review the lineups that we had starting for that game, Team Black, sorry, yeah, Team Black had Zane
Yeah.
Ingersoll point guard. Kyle Schomer was set to start at shooting guard. However, Ben Horner ended up starting there. Robert Mann at the small forward position. Dane Harbert playing power forward, and Zach Sanders making his debut at center. And then on Team White for that game, we had Grant Harris at the point, Ryan Weiss shooting guard, Noah Gossman at small forward, Davin Bankerink at power forward, and Zach Clark at the center. With that team able to secure the win. Now, a couple standout players here. Robert Mann and Noah Gossman both putting up massive points. I believe 21 for Robbie and 24 for Noah. Robbie, what do you think kind of happened there that allowed you two to get so many points compared to everybody else?
Just shoot a lot, and shooters shoot, and it like hopes that your teammates pass you because they know you're hot and you're open. People just pass to you, obviously, and then shoot. Um, Noah shoots like an incredible amount of shots. This is a lot of them, but he ended up making a few of them. Obviously, scoring 24 points there, and just yeah, shooters.
So, just kind of an interesting thing that we're going to go over here is talking about play from the center position. We've had some big names at center. Obviously, myself, Zach Clark, and then even Jesse's managed to peek his way into some of the conversation there. Not a lot of points to be had at center. Myself and Clark put up a very similar stat line, 8 points between 8, 9 rebounds. Very similar. Jesse also had a little bit below that, but it seemed like neither of us were able to find consistent play in the paint. How do you feel that the center position is going to evolve in AR3 this season?
I think that like towards later in the year when we're more conditioned, I feel like we're gonna be setting up more like is in the paint to where centers Zach, you and Jesse can get more points, more rebounds, and just basically evolve as players.
All right, very good. And we obviously had a couple highlights there, which I'm going to be attempting to post in the basketball AR3 basketball chat while we're talking about this. But let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Dane Harbert 360 layup all over the Instagram, all over the group chats. What happened there?
Uh, well, he's a ball hog. One, he gets the ball, keeps his eyes down, doesn't even look up, not looking to pass. On that specific play, he just thought he had a shot, and it did not go well, obviously. And how he's a meme. Oh, it's kind of funny to watch that because he's talking a lot of crap on the Instagram about how he's going to be player of the week this coming week. And all you got to show is that 360 layup and just know that's not going to happen.
So, in the AR3 basketball chat, we actually have that video up now. Let's go ahead and just review that second for second here. So, I'm going to walk us through what was happening. You could see myself, Tyson on the court. This was late in the game, and we were trying to rally. The black team had been struggling offensively. We couldn't get it going. We were trying to slow down, get set. We had Reese out there. We were coming for a new offensive look. And we get the ball up to Dane. We're thinking we're going to have a nice offensive set. And you can see he just blows right by Davin and throws up this awful layup here. I'm not sure what the strategy was. So I honestly think that play really deflated our team's morale, where we might have had a chance to come back. But just watching that play, especially Reese coming in right out of the gate and seeing something like that happen has got to be kind of bad for you.
Yeah. I when I saw that, I turned to Ben Horner and I just looked at him like, what the fuck was that? Just absolute disbelief on what just happened. Like from there on, I looked at him, I looked at Ben, I looked at you, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm not passing that kid the ball. He's just shows you like he's not ready to play in this type of league if he's shooting up shots like that.
All right, and then let's have a look at the next clip. This next clip is a drive, a little bit of offensive work by Noah and some defensive work by Black Team here. Just a couple things to note. Right off the bat of the video, you could see Noah Gossman bringing the ball up in his right hand and Zane Ingersoll doing a good job of picking the ball up at half. Zane, great defender, played amazing defense the whole game, and luckily he was even able to match up to people like Noah. And then as you can see, it develops. You can see Zach Clark lay a pick on me to attempt to slow me down. Now, what would have been smart here was for Noah to probably try to pull this back, but unfortunately he doesn't. He attempts to go up. Zane did an amazing job here, slowing him down just enough for me to come from behind and get the block off the backboard. This is a little bit uncharacteristic of Noah to go up for a shot in this manner. He usually prefers the more up and under fake stuff. So how do you think his game is going to progress through the season?
I feel like he's just gonna do the same stuff. He did the same stuff last year. He's been working in his garage, but I don't see that coming into games. Like I don't see any of the dribble moves he's been working on in the game. It just I don't really see his game progressing any more than it already has. Might shoot more shots toward the end of the year, but that's about it.
Let's move on down to the very next video. We do have a highlight from Noah. Coming off the right foot, he's going to be one-on-one against Ben Horner. Going to drive it right past him, do a little dribble pickup, and as you can see about halfway through the video, I come from behind attempting to get the block and miss. He puts a nice little turnaround jumper on. I just missed the block, and he swishes it. This is what Noah is known for. He's known for getting inside the paint and being elusive with his body. It's just the way he moves. There's something about it that it's really hard to track where he's going with his hands and his eyes. So that's something that defenses have to look out for this season, and it's something that I feel he's going to continue to do at a high level.
Very true. I have the pleasure of probably guarding him this coming game, so try to remember that. And if I can put brakes on him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure, especially two somewhat similar players. Moving on to the next clip, we got Zach Clark taking the ball in, and this is just a clip of showing the brutality of AR3, honestly. So we got Clark one-on-one with Ben here, and he's going to try to slip the lane, and as you can see, Kyle Schomer is going to come in and just demolish him. He's going to end up ass over head onto the floor, and this is just what happens in AR3. This was a brutal game all around. I wouldn't say it was as bad as last year. It was certainly more clean, but there was hard hits left and right, especially in the paint, and this is a great example from Zach Clark of just the brutality of this AR3 league early in the season.
Yeah, I would totally agree. We have a new player in there, Kyle Schomer, and it just shows he's new. He's not really used to it, and Clark took some beatings during AR3 football as well, and just like you said, it shows the brutality of AR3. We're pretty amateur out here, and it happens.
All right, then we got one more clip that I was able to pull out for now, and it's just a nice, good play by Black Team here on a fast break. We're able to get an defensive rebound, throw it up to Ben Horner, and Ben Horner being real smart with the rock here. He's going to look behind him. He's got one-on-one on Grant. Most people would take this shot, but he's going to be smart. He's going to hold it, give a little dump off to Zane for a wide open layup. That is the team basketball that we're looking for right there. It's very professional out of Ben. That's why I think, at least for this game, he deserved that A-minus rating. He showed that he's grown as a player from last year, and that he's able to make those team plays, if you will.
Very true. Yeah, it was a great play. Totally agree. It was much needed points for Team Black there. I think they were um down. No, they're probably up at this time in the game, but just continued to grow that lead. Black threw it in the end, obviously, because they lost. But that was also with the loss of Ben as a player. We needed those team buckets and to try to get ourselves back in the game, but we didn't have that um, personnel in the game. So
Yeah. All right,
the
that's
loss
a
there.
pretty good review of what happened last time. And just real quick before we move on to more current news, let's have a look at the grades. I know this caused some controversies for a couple people, so we're just gonna have a look at these real quick. And actually, you all can. I'm gonna do this real quick so you guys can see it. There you go. Everybody, hop on that stream. All right, and then looking at the grades here, this is something brand new to AR3, something that both myself and Grant came up with, and quite frankly, we're a little bit trial and error, but we're just going to start at the top from the current center position. We evaluated how you played, and we rank these based on expectations. So a B to B plus is you're playing to your expectations. C plus, obviously, also still to expectations. Anything below that, you had a poor game. Anything above that, you had a good game. So just go ahead and start at the top with myself at a B plus. Robbie, what do you think about this rating?
I feel like it was pretty fair. I feel like a B minus would have been like a better grade because you didn't like score as many points as you did last year, and obviously with it being based off expectations, people expected you to score more points, but you get more rebounds. So I think it's a bit high, but I just feel like it's a good grade.
All right, and then let's talk about Derek. Honestly, he was really hard to rate for both me and Grant because he did not play bad basketball. We gave him a C plus because we think he played exactly on expectations for what we predicted pregame. He didn't have any points, obviously, but he did not play a bad game.
I don't feel like he did. I mean, he barely got any minutes, but when he was in there, he was definitely there passing the ball. I don't think he took a shot, but he made some plays, called ISOs, and just progressed the game.
And then moving on, C plus for Jesse Schaefer. Now, this is also an interesting one. He got some much more meaningful minutes, but he really did not perform, at least to his own hype, if you will. He did have a bucket off a rebound, but otherwise he was a poor defender in that game. But he also wasn't necessarily um, pulling his team down. So I feel like just a very average game from Jesse Schaefer.
I feel like that he actually did play a pretty good defensive game. He forced a lot of bad shots. He was in there blocking shots. Well, maybe I'm not sure. I wasn't really paying attention. Just was just there to shoot up shots. But yeah, he was a good defender. He's a big body, so he gets in the way. I feel like the C plus grade is pretty good because he and I he could get more points. Um, that should come with some more meaningful minutes with him being a starter this week.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Moving on to you. Now, your rating was a B. From the beginning, I kind of expressed that I didn't quite agree with that. I believe it was a rating from Grant, but I do believe it was just kind of an oversight in general. Um, for your expectations, I do think you exceeded them just a little bit. Now, people did expect you to come out and play a very good game of basketball, but as you've said, the double-double, 21 points, I do believe is deserving of a B plus. You played offensively very strong. There was a few times where you had some bad shot decisions, which I think is what's preventing an A minus
Yeah.
here. But a very solid B
I would
plus
agree.
performance from you, and you do have some very easy room to improve.
Would agree. Less turnovers, better shot selection definitely could improve that grade.
Now Tyson, I hate to give him a D, but it's really not his fault either. He hardly played any minutes, but he's just
It's
not
true.
offensive at all. He's defensively okay, but he didn't get a chance to play defensive in this game. Barely got any touches. I think he turned the ball over once or twice. So it's just not a good game overall for him. Not necessarily his fault though.
No, I would agree with that. Me in some of the clips, you can see him hustling down the court, trying to get back on defense. And it's respectable in that regard, but he really didn't get that much meaningful minutes, and obviously with the turnovers, he deserves that grade.
All right, and then next up, we're looking at wait, where are we at? Zach Clark. Me and Zach Clark, very similar expectations going forward, and almost an identical game. So I think he also deserves that B plus. Played a little bit above expectations. He was grinding hard in the paint. I gotta give him that. He was playing a strong game of basketball. Both of us were. Was able to get some points up and was able to help his team with some passing, some screens, and even some rebounding. So I think he's very deserving of the B plus here.
I would agree. I would agree.
Davin. Davin's an interesting one. I feel like a lot of people thought he'd be
Is
much more of an offensive weapon coming into the game, but I feel like he really didn't change the dynamic of the game all that much.
oh, I would say he did. I expected him to get a lot more touches, a lot more shots put up, but in the game he didn't really do that. I think he had like 6 points, if I'm mistaken. I'm not sure, but um, what is that? 10?
10? What the hell? Actually, yeah.
Does seem right.
10 points.
It's probably right. To
Um,
10 points, most likely. I feel like he's able and capable of getting a lot more in the future.
I feel like his defense was also somewhat lacking in that game, especially early, but he did play to his expectations, I would say. So good game for him. Noah Gossman, B plus. He's a hard one to grade because his expectations are quite high with how much he likes to get around and talk. But he did have a good game, and I think he's on a path to develop as a better basketball player. He put up a lot of shots, but he also kicked the ball out a few times. He had a little bit better shot making and shot decisions that I've seen in the past, and he was able to get up 24 points, and that's pretty impressive in and of itself, especially with the people that we had on defense. So I think he's deserving of this B plus, but it's going to be interesting to see how he develops going forward.
True. I feel like he might not shoot as many shots this week due to his very high-powered offense that this upcoming Team Black has, and I feel like he's able to get back to that 20-point mark.
All right, let's go over Reese and Landon here because unfortunately both of them didn't get a whole lot of playing time, and hopefully that'll change this week, at least for Landon. But this C minus rating is honestly neither of their faults. They did not get enough playing time to shine. Reese,
Showed up
maybe not.
halfway through the game, like
Yeah, maybe not deserving of that C minus. I mean, he did come in and he played solid basketball for the few minutes he got, and Landon was a very good sub, but they just didn't have enough time to show what they can do. So I'd say the C minus is honestly not important. I wouldn't let it affect them. Don't let it get in your head. It's honestly a null value. I feel like this week and even into next week, the week after, for Reese especially, that's more of a time to show what you can do and not just completely ignore this rating.
yeah, absolutely. I just East was one of the main role players coming into the game, but unfortunately he wasn't able to make it on time. He still showed up in the second half. Pretty good game from there on out, but we need to find him where he's comfortable in that corner three position and just let him shoot it.
All right, and then moving down, we'll hit Jaden here. Jaden and Corbin, honestly, at the same time. B and a B plus here. The B for Jaden. He came in and he played a very respectable game. He did his job. Most importantly, not seen on the highlight reel was his turnover against Dan Harbert one-on-one. Very impressive to be able to just poke the ball out while you have a pretty big player staring you down. So he came in and no one was expecting him to score. No one was expecting him to be a big deal, but he played his role very well.
Fortunately, I mean, he wasn't able to finish that playoff, but it was a very good like defensive play on Dane. It, get the ball and an opportunity for his offense.
Kind of the same thing with Corbin here. No one was expecting him to come in and make a whole lot of noise, but he came in and he played that substitute point guard role very well, especially when our high-powered scorers were on the bench. He did a very good job holding the fort down, limited to no turnovers, and I do believe, I wonder if he got any points. Hold on. Fortunately, no points, but just able to keep everybody calm, even with the bench players out on the floor running things. He did a very good job protecting the ball and keeping everything off him. So I think he's deserving of a B plus here.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to see him like progress this week since I believe he will be a starter. Um, he'll get some pretty significant minutes in order and help his offense and some much needed buckets.
All right, and then let's look at our two superstars of last week. Ben Horner, Ryan Weiss, A minus, two highest ratings. Let's just talk about their expectations going in. So Ben to start, he did not play super great last year. He was known as kind of a ball hog, a loose cannon, just shooting up threes left and right. And everybody expected the same this year. He also let Noah Gossman get into his head a lot in the games, and that's what caused some of those bad shots. So I think everybody was expecting him to play down to maybe like a Davin level for this game, somewhere around there. And then as for Ryan Weiss, what an absolute come out of nowhere game he had. No one thought he was going to do what he did. They were thinking 10 rebounds maybe and like 3 points. But he came out, he had a solid 9 point game. He was a huge role player for his team and was able to get those buckets up. So, Robbie, what do you think of the performance of these two this week, or last week, rather?
Um, Ben had a good game. I do believe that during the first and second quarters, he put up a good amount of points. He was a good rebounder. He was pretty good on defense. He let Noah get into his head a little bit, but I don't think it was most. I don't think it was that bad, like in his head. Um, oh, I feel like he was a respectable player. Uh, Maybe not an A minus, but still good expectations. Ryan, it was a good performance for him. 1 point off a double double, insane game for him. But yeah, put up a much needed three off Grant, an assist for Grant, and play there. He just helped his team. Solid on defense. No, he was on me most of the game. Uh, when he was on me, he was like very close. A lot of fouling going on with him. It was a good game.
Yeah, so they're definitely two players we should keep an eye on, especially Ryan, as he's going to be leading his team this week, hopefully to a victory. And then we got to
I
talk
don't want
about
that.
the elephant in the room again. Dane Harbert, F rating. Where do we even begin? Robbie, do you want to start?
2 words: ball hog. He just needs to pass more. When he has the ball, I feel like he has a tendency just try to drive to the lane and shoot up like a 360 layup. He just it's not a good like style for AR3 basketball. We're evolving into a more team eh, team centric game rather than solo offenses like we were last year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Looked like he was out of his element all game. Now, he comes from more of that
Rookie, he is a
PE.
rookie, but
Yeah,
like
he comes from that PE playground type basketball. The ball hog, shoot it up, score 20 points. And what's interesting is that he just looked so off, whether it was his shooting or his layups, his footwork, even his eyes. They were all off. And I think it's just because, like you said, we're a team-oriented basketball league and we play rough defense. So I think it's something that he'll have to adjust to. It's going to be interesting to see what adjustments, if any, he makes this week. Looking at him in P throughout this week, he's looked pretty solid, but clearly he's shown that that does not mean anything, and we're not going to know until he gets in the game. So definitely a player to keep your eye on.
Sure. Before the week started, got a lot of high expectations about Dane. We expected him to score a lot of points, and hence the F rating. So we thought he would be a good role player, and he just wasn't.
So let's move on to the point guards here, and three interesting point guards. We got Grant, obviously, and then Zane, essentially a rookie coming off. Let's compare their games, and then what do you think about those two, Robbie?
Um, uh, had pretty solid games. I believe Grant had the better of games. I think Zane, he needs to shoot the ball more. He just needs to be more aggressive. I think he's playing a bit passive now, and I just feel like he just needs to find his game and start it. And Grant, just keep doing you. Like, a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree. I'll start with Zane since I had the ability to play with him there. Zane, throughout his entire basketball career, has been more of a team point guard. He is a true point guard, almost like a less scoring-oriented Chris Paul. Really crisp with the passes, plays solid defense. And honestly, if it weren't for his defense, he'd be rated at a C. Not because he had a bad game, but just because he didn't really have a game. Like you said, he wasn't taking those scoring opportunities, and I think part of that is my team's fault. We need to set him up. That's how he works. Grant, on the other hand, played much better defense than I thought he would, and played really good hustle offense. The only comment I can make that is bad about him is you gotta hit those threes, brother. Wide open threes, can't miss those. You can miss a couple, but going like 0 for 5, I don't want to say it's horrible, but it's just something to improve on, if you will. A place to get started.
It's true. He either needs to just stop shooting them or go ways to score.
All right, now let's talk about Kyle here, the substitute emergency pickup point guard, and how do you think he played?
It was shown in that video with Zach Clark falling on his ass. It was very interesting to see him play. I think he had 2 points, maybe one rebound. I feel like as an emergency player, he did his job. Was out playing defense and a role player. I feel like the C grade is very deserving. Um,
I do agree. He definitely played a role. Um, you can tell that he's a rookie. He's new. He hasn't played basketball in a few years, and he's coming into AR3, which is just such a different league now. And I feel like he came in, he held his own, but you could see on the defense and on the offense, he just was not prepared. So going forward, as we pick him up for a game here and there later into the season, is going to be interesting to see how he develops. All right. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at the fantasy stats from last week. If we want to go ahead and pull those up, I think we're going to see some really interesting results here. First of all, congratulations to Jesse Schaefer. He got all of them correct, which is pretty good coming out week one with no evidence to back up any claims. But let's just start at the top. Derek Point line 2.5. 6 people, or I guess 5 actually, took the over. Now, this was a tough one. He almost got it. He just missed the shot, I believe. Real tough one, but he did hit the under. Do you think this is surprising at all, Robbie?
no, I didn't really expect him to shoot a lot. So, uh, with his one shot, I mean, wasn't really the smartest of shots, but had the chance of going in. So I feel like the um line was correct. But unfortunately, I took the over, so I was wrong.
And then let's talk about Zane's point line here, 12.5. We had 2 people take the over. Most people took the under. And good call from most people. Now, Zane did not have the scoring I thought he would. I knew he wasn't going to get 12.5, but I was thinking 6, maybe 8, somewhere around the lines of what I was going to get. And the 2 was just kind of surprising. But how do you feel his line is going to kind of change going forward next time he gets brought up in the sports betting?
His high was the line was pretty high. I took the over because I thought he would be more aggressive as he was last year with his shooting and just finding those opportunities. We, as a team, we need to find ways to get him the ball more, um, in scoring opportunities. But I feel like that line pretty good. Um, but fortunately, he didn't like live up to his expectations. So a solid game.
Let's talk about Ryan's point line here. Every person who bet on it took the under. What do you think about that?
It was a solid line. We didn't expect Ryan to get that many points. He didn't really get many last year, and just wasn't the greatest of offensive players. Um, yeah, everybody's right. So
It was close though. 9 points was
very,
his score.
very
So,
close. Feel
and
proud
then
of my line. I created that line. I knew he was going to get close to 10 points, 9 points. Um, yeah, very unfortunate that he didn't get the over for himself. Get to that double digits, get that double double. But a game still.
all right, and then the final one, the combined points, 60 and a half. This got blown out of the water. It was split evenly down the middle for betting. Just a crazy game. What do you think about that?
Yeah, very high scoring game. I think Team White had something like 50 some points.
Yeah,
Which is
53, I believe.
unheard of in our league. Um, oh, that line I feel like in the future is going to be moved up for the combined points.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking somewhere near 90, I believe, this week.
That'd be insane. Any combined points
Yep.
and have a few key players out this week, and be kind of interesting to see how that develops.
All right, now let's move on to the more recent news and some draft developments. So, as everybody knows, we had our first draft. Reese, Ryan, team captains, and this first draft got absolutely destroyed. Specifically, Ryan's team had players Ben Horner and Tyson Rexrow on it, who are both going to be out coming into this week's tournament. So, a redraft was obviously initiated, and now, once again, having some player issues. If I just remember correctly, going over the injured reserve situation, out we have Tyson, who's going to be out. He's been sent to the G League. Robbie, yourself, obviously, you were out, but now you're looking likely to return due to a cancer situation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Um, I had a little bit of a scare there. Last week or last game, I went down with an apparent calf injury, and I went to the doctor, had it looked at, and they took an X-ray of my leg, and they saw like a little blotch in the bone, and they just wanted to make sure it was nothing too bad. It seemed benign. Many people have these; they're just normal things that kids get, and it was in the area of pain. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't affected everything else, make sure it wasn't cancerous. So I had to get that checked out, and everything's good. Gonna play some basketball tomorrow.
Very good. Reese, he's very questionable due to a work situation, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to show up late again or if he does not show up at all. Grant is questionable with illness, but very possible he will be available for the game. Derek, questionable. He is currently suspended, actually, serving a sentence, so very unlikely for him to show up. Luckily, I don't believe anybody was banking on him being a super key piece. And then also Ben Horner is out playing for Team USA racquetball, so best of luck to him in
USA,
Guatemala.
USA, USA.
So just a lot of injuries and people being out all around. So let's just kind of review the starting lineups and see what's going on here. So Team White this week is going to be looking at Corbin Riley possibly running the point, Grant Harris at the shooting guard position, which is a position he usually is not in. We have Jaden Minnis currently starting for Team White, however, with Robbie likely to return, and it is believed that Robert Mann will be subbing into that small forward position, and Jaden Minnis will slide down to the six-man position. Zach Clark starting power forward, and Jesse Schaefer starting off to round out that lineup. Robbie, what do you think about your team's lineup this week?
I can't really say it's my team. It's Reese is the captain. Unfortunately, he can't make it, so someone has to step in that role. It's gonna be me or Clark or something like that. And I don't feel like we have a good shot, but I feel like we have a shot. Like in the movie Dumb and Dumber, you're saying there's a chance. There's obviously gonna be a chance. So oh,
All
a
right,
new
yeah.
development here.
Just
Grant's
received some
coming off the
news.
bench.
So Grant Harris, sixth man off the bench, which does mean Jaden Minnis will be starting probably at the shooting guard position. So an interesting look for Team White here, trying to overcome some personnel issues, and it's going to be interesting to see how it works.
Very true. Very true. Did not know that. Looking forward to how this game is out.
All right, and then as for Team Black here, we got Zane Ingersoll starting at the point, Ryan Weiss, team captain at shooting guard, Noah Gossman starting at small forward, Dane Harbor at power forward, and myself, Zach Sanders, at center. Um, just talking about my team, we have a very high-powered offense that Ryan has been able to put together here, and after this redraft, we have not suffered so bad at the personnel issues, but it's going to be interesting. These lineups are going to be real tough, and I feel like my team is going to be gassed. We have a substitution strategy in place, so hopefully we're able to combat that. But I feel like this is going to be a hard-fought victory for either team. I do like my team winning this game, but of course you also say you never bet against your own team, so I do believe anything is possible this week.
Very true. There's also a very key trade that happened um during the post draft team making. Would you like to touch on that?
I'm sorry, what was that? Just one more time.
The trade
Oh, yes, the
for
trade. So, just going to say it now, Reese got absolutely hornswoggled during this redraft. I don't know what he was thinking, but just a couple draft errors. So, for the sake of basketball, there was a trade that was proposed. Robert Mann was on black team this week originally, but in order to cover personnel issues, there was a trade for Coach D, Derek Jensen, for Robert Mann. So Robbie has been transitioned to Team White, and Derek Jensen recently has actually been suspended. So obviously Team White, the winners of that trade.
think Team White would have been winners of that trade overall anyway, due to significant minutes being played.
That is for sure. Now let's just kind of go over some expectations for a few players. A couple people I want to touch on is specifically Zane Ingersoll and Jesse Schaefer. Those are the two people I feel like have the most dynamic expectations this week. What do you think about Jesse's game going into this week and what matchups he has?
He plays a more significant role this week for sure. Gonna get a lot more minutes and have a lot more opportunities to score. Team White is hoping to use him in the paint as well as a shooter, almost like Dirk, almost, and just more opportunities for him to score because in the past he has been able.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. He's going to play a much different role this week. I see him playing a lot more minutes, but not only more minutes, more of an important role. Now, here's the situation I see him running into. Team Black is a very tall team, and there's a lot of matchups that he could get put up. Specifically, he could be matching up with myself, Dane, or even Noah at certain times. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets around all of that defensive adversity, but I do believe he's going to be playing a much more important role. And then let's talk about Zane Ingersoll. I'll start off since he's on my team. I'm sure a lot of people are looking for him to come out and put up bigger numbers this week after the disappointment many say last week. They're expecting him to come out, put some points on the board. And personally, I would say differently. I believe that Ryan is looking to use Zane to facilitate this high-power gunslinging offense. I feel like Zane's going to be moving the rock really well and also being a solid pickup on defense. I think he's going to be able to get myself, Noah, and Ryan, of course, working off the ball and coming off screens to get some easy buckets.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still would like to see Zane try to find some more offensive situations for himself. as a friend and as a fellow competitor, I hope the best for him.
All right. Now let's go ahead and move on now to the kind of fantasy watch where we are going to be making our fantasy picks live. So, just going to start off here. I'm going to pick the first metric, and it's going to be myself with blocks. And I'm thinking 3.5, 3.5 blocks. Robbie, what do you think?
That's a fantastic line because Team White is a very small team in nature, other than Jesse and Zach. The guards and the forwards are not that big. It'd probably be easy to get the over on that, as well as who knows. Team White may be able to shoot on the perimeter, and uh, you yourself may not be able to out there, maybe, but since you're more of a post player.
All right, and then we got Dane Harbert for points. What do you think we're looking at there?
Ooh, uh, I'm gonna set the line at like 4.5.
4.5.
Uh, yeah,
I do
I feel like he
agree.
could. I feel like he can get more than that as like a player. He had a lot of expectations coming in. Like you said, you saw him in PE, and he was able to put up some shots there, making them. But whether or not he can portray that or transfer that into the game setting, we will find out.
All right, we're going to be looking at Grant Harris points. I'm thinking line 8.5, but what say you?
He had how many last week? I'm not sure.
I can find that for you real quick. Grant Harris posted a stat line last week of 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists.
Um, the 8.5 points. Is that what you said?
Yep, that is my
Line.
line recommendation.
If he gets significant minutes off the bench, I feel like he can um get that. But since he's coming off the bench, I like a more 7.5 line there because he's getting less minutes.
I
Therefore,
do
less
agree with
points.
that, but yeah, it's gonna be. I think that's a good line because if they do use him more as a bench player, that 7.5 is gonna be hitting the under. But you never know; he might be their second rotation head guy, and he could be out there putting up 10. So I think that's a good
True.
line. And we're gonna do one more player line before we do some overall lines. What are we thinking here, Robbie? What's one more player you want to see a line for?
Um, let's do uh Jesse Schaefer.
I like
What
that.
I don't know what stat line, but you can pick that. Probably points, to be honest with you,
Yeah, so let's
by
do
the
Jesse
most.
Schaefer points. And what are we thinking? Me personally, I'm thinking 4.5 with Dane.
I feel like he could definitely get more than that. I feel like the line should be set like almost a Grant Harris level, like 7.5. Maybe let's set it at 6.5.
Yeah, meet in the middle.
Because he's able to he is able to shoot. I have seen him during shoot around during PE, and just hanging out, just shooting the basketball at trail point. He is able to shoot. Whether or not he can transfer that into the game, I'll have to find out.
All right, and then our next stat we're going to be looking at here is AR3 total turnovers. Now, let me get the number for last time if you just want to bear with me for one moment.
Ooh, like this high number, high number here.
So we have a reported 32 turnovers. Now, this number is not very accurate, so I would put the range between 32 and 45 turnovers for last time. So what over under are we looking at here?
Ooh, I feel like 40 total turnovers is a great line. 40 and a half, just or 39 and a half total turnovers. Because in that range that you gave me was pretty big, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of turnovers in this coming game due to these doing due to Team White having a lackluster offense, people getting frustrated, aka myself, with how the team's playing and whatnot, and we'll just have to see how that turns out.
All right, and finally for our last fantasy line, we're looking at AR3 total points combined. What do we think? And obviously we discussed that 60.5 line was bogus from last time. What do we think we're looking at this time?
Uh, I feel like it's going to be a more one-sided game. I like an 85.5 point line
You read
for
my
total
mind.
points.
That's exactly what
Um,
I'm thinking.
yeah, Team White has more lackluster offense. Unfortunately, with me being on the team, um, this Team Black's offense is gonna try to carry up those total points, and hopefully the betters take the over on or take the under on that one because I don't feel like Team White's gonna score that many points.
Yeah, I agree with you there. This one's going to be interesting. This game has the capacity to maybe not be a blowout, but be more one-sided. But then again,
Hmm.
this is AR3, you never know. So I think
That is
that
true.
85.5 is going to be a tough pick for a lot of people. It's not an automatic over, and it's definitely not an automatic under. I feel like this could go either way. So some people are going to have to put some faith in there. All right, and I think we do have one more talking point. Oh yeah, okay. Who do you like as player of the week coming into this week? It's very early. It's hard to pick, but
uh, I feel like Noah Gossman is gonna have a fantastic game. I feel like he's gonna continue scoring on offense and being a contributor on defense. I have a feeling that he will be able to get that player of the week. I also feel like Zach Sanders, will have a pretty good game. Being matched up against people who don't really have as much bounce, if you know what I mean. Um, so I feel like he'll be able to get some meaningful rebounds and some meaningful points.
yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I do like myself, but if I had to pick my top choice, it would also be Noah Gossman. I like how he's developed his game this week. I like his game plan that he's presented me so far, but anything could happen. It's going to be interesting. If I had to pick someone from your team, honestly, Grant Harris. I feel like this could be some sort of standout game for him if he's able to come off the bench
Some Michael
and play
Jordan flu
well.
game coming off illness.
He's going to show
He's
out for the
gonna
boys.
for real.
So that's just something to keep an eye on. Definitely want to watch what he's doing there. And I think this could be an interesting week. We could really see how the rest of the season could be turning out, especially with some players gone.
Very true. Um, just best of luck to both teams. Hopefully no one gets hurt. And for that, and just have a good game. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I hope everybody plays a solid game. We have some fun out there. That's obviously the most important. And that, yeah, everybody stays safe. Make sure we're bringing lots of water, and because this
Drinking
game is
lots of
going to be
water the
rough
night
on you.
before.
Oh yeah, stay very nice and hydrated tonight, fellas. Get some water. Um, anyways, everybody, that will do it for episode 2 of Ankeny Retcast. We thank you guys for joining us, and we thank you for participating with us and helping this Ankeny Retcast really feel like it has a community going on. We hope to continue to do more soon, and you can expect an actual podcast after the game this week on time, probably Saturday night, but that is to be determined. And hopefully, Coach D can join me once again, and we can get his comments here. But thank you, everybody, for joining, and we hope to see you guys next time. Thank you.